I recently found myself writing emails back and forth arguing about the finer points of a toothbrush advertisement. And I just canceled the toothbrush advertisement and in general was getting a little bit down on the whole YouTube thing. Now my subscriber count is still going up, views are still fine. In fact, I just filed taxes for last year and I did finally make more money on YouTube than I did teaching. So a lot of people, including my students, who by now the vast majority of them are aware of my channel, not many of them actually watch it on a regular basis because they're not into computers, but they are curious, Mr. Owen, are you gonna quit teaching? Are you gonna go YouTube full time? And other people who find out about the YouTube channel and all that, they wanna know the same thing. I see comments on the YouTube channel, hey, are you gonna quit teaching? Are you going full time on YouTube? And honestly, I had thought that as the end of this school year kind of winds down, as I did taxes for the last year, looking at all the various income streams that come with the YouTube channel, because it's not just the built-in YouTube advertising, look at, okay, how did it do compared to teaching, all of that, that I'd finally come to make a decision, and I was getting really stressed out. It was not fun. I was kind of waffling back and forth every single day, and it was just always on the back of my mind. And you know what? In general, there's a bit of an unhealthy thing about YouTube in general. Can I show you guys, if you don't post on YouTube, you might not know that this is what a YouTube creator sees when they log into their YouTube channel. You see a similar thing on your phone. This is what the browser version looks like on a desktop. You see your most recent video, and you see how it's done ranked by views out of your last 10 videos compared to the other ones. And you can see that this video I did here was 10th out of 10. So that's not 10 out of 10, great job. That's wow, this was bad. And if you hover over that, it then shows it within the same time period. So this was 2 days and 5 hours after publishing this video. You can see how the other 9 of my most recent 10 videos, how many views they had received in that amount of time. And I want you guys to, don't even think about the specifics of this right now. I want you guys to imagine that you show up to work every day. And at the end of the day, imagine your boss has an evaluation meeting with you every single day. And you know what? You can even check it throughout the day, all the time. Your boss is just always there and is always grading you, giving you a numeric value of how well you're doing today. And that's what YouTube does. I get that the YouTube algorithm isn't your boss if you're a YouTube creator, but it is, that's how it feels. You feel like you are getting a numeric evaluation of how you're doing every single time you log into YouTube Studio. And guys, this does a weird thing to you mentally. When you post the video too, if you get first out of 10, there's little firework things that go off. It feels very, weirdly manipulative and unhealthy to be constantly under evaluation. I know that compare to this when I'm teaching, at the end of every school year, I do have a meeting with my evaluating administrator, and at several points throughout the school year, they do observe lessons and they do give written feedback, as some of those are planned ahead of time, some of them are pop-in visits you're unaware of. But in general, you don't just have this feeling of constantly being judged with a numeric score every minute of every day. And with the channel, it's about graphics cards and things like that. You don't actually, how should I put this? There's some things you can control about how well your video is going to perform. But then there's other things that you have less control over, and there's other parts that get into well, how scummy do I want my titles and thumbnails to be? But in general, the interest is higher when there's a new graphics card series coming out. For example, let me see here. So this is my lifetime weekly views for the channel. Now, first of all, some people have checked my channel and been have you been doing this for what is it, 11 years or something? You started in 2011? No, this the account that I created that I eventually used for this channel has been around since 2011, but I didn't post any videos on it until the whole pandemic thing happened, and that was right here. Anyway, you can see that views spiked, and then I actually stopped posting for several months. I had, at that point, decided I was probably just going to quit YouTube because it was just, we had gone back to teaching in the classroom, and just trying to manage teaching and YouTube at the same time was just way too much, at least at that point. Now, towards the end of that school year, I did end up starting posting again, and the channel just started climbing again. But it was easier than building completely from scratch, but it was certainly a bit rough right there to get back. You know, you don't instantly start right back where you left off, if that makes sense. But I did get back there within a few months. And then, so what is this? This is a new graphics card generation launch. So this was right when the 4000 series was about to launch and then did launch. And I started reviewing them, doing a lot of news on the topics, and you can see the channel interest spikes. You get some new products launched a few months later, interest spikes. As we're getting into this stuff, again, this is kind of, I think the Super Series happened here that we just got. Right, so this is kind of, and then here we are right now where there's been not as much going on. Also, I've been posting fewer videos. If I look at my YouTube boss constantly evaluating me, saying, hey, why are your views lower than usual? One thing they're pointing out is that in the last 28 days, which is what this kind of defaults to judging you on, I posted 13 videos, which is lower than usual. I'm usually in the 15 to 20 range. And guys, when I started the channel, when you look at this little blip here, that was the first 90 days I was on YouTube. I made 90 videos in the first 90 days I was on YouTube, which was absolutely kind of insane. But it was kind of interesting because, like I said, when you see this whole, like, it scores you on how you're doing every single day. You know, you post a video and you just see what happens, right? What sticks, what gets views. And part of that's titles and thumbnails, but it's also topics. So when I started this channel, the intention was for it to be tech related and somewhat gaming PC related, but I didn't intend for it to basically become a GPU review channel. That wasn't really exactly what was, you know, the end goal. Although that is mostly what ended up happening. But it's because you start to see what gains traction, right? What's getting more views than other videos, and you get the dopamine hits of, ooh, #1 best out of 10, I get the fireworks shoot off, and so you're kind of like, ooh, I'm gonna chase that, I'm gonna chase that, I'm gonna keep doing that, keep doing what's working, right? You get those dopamine hits. But then again, on the flip side of that, when you get ooh, that was the worst out of my last 10 videos happens, you know, you're like, oh, that kind of, feels terrible. But another thing I want to point out is that, like, okay, but 18,000 views is more views than I thought I would ever get on a video when I started the channel. Honestly, I didn't think I'd ever get 18,000 views on the channel total. And now the channel views are in the millions. I actually don't even actually know off the top of my head where the total channel views are at. But the point is that because it's always presented like this, it's always about how are you doing right now compared to what you did recently, right? No matter how well you're doing, it never feels like you've made it. I don't know how to put it that way. It always feels so I don't know. It's like the goalpost keeps moving, if that makes sense, right? The goalposts just keep moving, and it feels weird, right? It's kind of a strange experience. So anyway, so what I'm really trying to get at in this video is my mindset when trying to make the decision of should I go full-time on YouTube. Because again, I did set some criteria about what's the bare minimum I would have to reach before I would even seriously consider it. And one was I would need to at least not be taking a pay cut. And while YouTube is not guaranteed, you know, I'm not guaranteed to do as well this year as I did last year. If last year was taken as a some sort of indication for what could be expected for the channel as normal, which again, I don't know, then yeah, I did at least meet that criteria. However, Well, once it reaches that point, then I have the question of, okay, but do I actually want to do that? And that's why I kind of started talking about this whole thing, how this feels. Because when I started this YouTube channel, like I said, I never thought I'd get 18,000 views total, right? The goal was, I'm very interested in PCs and technology. And I'm very interested in talking about that information with other people who care a lot about it. And as awesome as my wife is, for example, and she will, if I start talking about this stuff, try her best to smile and nod her head, she's not legitimately interested in it, right? So the idea was to have a creative outlet as well as a kind of a social outlet, I guess, maybe, of talking to people who care about this same niche hobby that I do, and finding other people who find it of interest. So that was the end goal. And so when I flipped to starting to think about this as a job, you realize that, okay, so then when we get these bad videos, now it's gonna be like, so am I gonna have to start like tweaking the title and thumbnail? Am I gonna have to make it more clickbaity? Can we talk about that, right? Notice out of my last 10 videos, the most successful one, the title is literally "finally" in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points and a 1, okay? Whereas this video was just telling you what the video is. It's an RX 7600 versus an RTX 4060 tested in 2024. It's the ultimate comparison of them. I could have left out that and made it even less exciting looking, right? But like, those titles and thumbnails are a really big deal. And like I said, like what do you want to do with those? So let's actually dive into this a little bit, actually. I think this might be fun to look at. Some people are like wonder how much do videos make? Well, when a video's doing less well, it's obviously making less money. So in the first 2 days, the first 18,000 views, this video has made me $32 in estimated AdSense revenue off of ad plays on YouTube. Now, I didn't have a sponsored integration or anything like that on this video, so that's it. Right? Now, making a video like this takes a massive amount of time. Running the RX 7600 through all of those benchmarks and the 4060 through all of those benchmarks, editing all of that side-by-side footage together, rendering out that video, then filming my dialogue over it. One place I save time is I don't write I don't do scripting or anything like that. So you are just getting my kind of live stream of consciousness thoughts, and that also reduces editing time and stuff. But if I did this full time, maybe I would have to edit more to try to increase the engagement percentage, view duration on the video, thing like that. But again, if you look at what's going on, why is this video doing worse? And you read what YouTube says, it says, the click-through rate is lower. People are less interested in this topic. So if I wanted more people to watch this video, I could have done things very differently. I could have made the title something more like, NVIDIA only produces garbage. Is AMD any better? And then, like something like that. Now, I don't know if that one would actually perform better, but we could try something like that. Like things like that, especially being negative about NVIDIA and positive about AMD in titles and thumbnails. If you actually look at how it performs in the YouTube algorithm, that tends to generate a lot more traffic, right? And then when you're speaking of like sponsorships, like, hey, the toothbrush I was going to advertise, when you're negotiating those deals, which are much more lucrative than that, I'll tell you that much. When you're negotiating those deals, a lot of it is based on the average number of views your last 10 videos are getting, especially within their first month of being published. And so by posting videos like this, without a dramatic title and thumbnail and things like that, this is actually significantly damaging the value of the channel. But what if I wanted to do this video because I think it's a valuable comparison to make? I'm interested in doing it, and I think maybe, the audience isn't as interested in clicking this one. I still think it's valuable information to get out there, right? But doing this full time, you have to think a lot harder about, am I destroying my channel's financial viability? That all becomes a lot more important. And let's compare that to something like this video, the best of my last 10 performing videos. Whereas this one is currently sitting at 53,000 views. It has made almost $200 in ad revenue. Has gained more subscribers, 69, nice, look at that. And views are up 10% more compared to the average. And why are they up? Because more viewers are choosing to watch the video. helping to increase its reach on YouTube recommendations. In other words, this finally performs significantly better, and as you can see, makes many times the amount of money as a title and thumbnail like this. And that is just the reality of YouTube. And what's also interesting is that this video is a news roundup. These take me a few hours worth of work to put together because I have to read all of the latest news, organize my thoughts on it, but then I do shoot them live with no editing. I'm not having to run a bunch of benchmarks and things like that. So this is much more effective at just quickly generating some money without if you think about how many dollars per hour I'm being paid for this video, if you think about it like that, right? Way more effective on this one versus the over a dozen hours of testing and then additional hours of editing and things like that it takes to put together something like this, right? Now I will mention that videos like this, the GPU head-to-head comparisons tend to do better over time in YouTube search. And meaning that if you check back a year from now, it's very possible that this video will eventually outperform this video. Because notice that this video is after it's, the news videos, once they're a week old or so, they don't get a lot of views, right? They're kind of good when they're fresh, and then they die off. Whereas a lot of times, but not always, the head-to-head comparison videos do much better over the long term. However, again, when you're negotiating the sponsored ad segments and things like that, the value of your channel, things that you have to think about if you're gonna be doing this full time, a lot of it's how did your last 10 videos perform? And they haven't had months to build up search traffic, and that's also not usually how those ads pay out. Sometimes they're a flat fee based on how did your last 10 videos perform, and again, that's kind of within the first month of publication. And then also, sometimes you negotiate a flat rate fee for the sponsorship deals, and sometimes you negotiate a CPM rate, a cost per 1,000 views. So usually with some kind of cap, so that you can't, they don't end up paying you a crazy amount if it goes viral or something like that. But again, it's usually negotiated on a cost per 1,000 views basis within the first 30 days. So these videos that kind of get the long-term search traffic over time are less useful for advertising and generating those sponsorship deals and negotiating those and all of that. So it's all very interesting stuff. But the thing is, when I'm doing this as a hobby that happens to also make money, cool, an extra $30, awesome, right? If I'm trying to put food on my table, I can't spend multiple days worth of full-time work and only make $30 off of it, right? Can't do it. Now, some videos do a lot better. Again, this news video, $200 for a few hours of work. Pretty good ratio, right? That's pretty good. But some videos are in between and you can't guarantee how each one's gonna go, and some have done way better than this one, and some have done worse than this one, right? It's all over the place. And so if I was doing this full time, I just feel like I would be constantly stressed out. And I also feel like I would be constantly forced to do more of this type of thing. And honestly, let's talk a little bit about this so what's my thoughts on the whole clickbait thumbnails and things like that? Well, I think some other YouTuber I saw somewhere, I saw this term somewhere, is legit bait versus clickbait. In other words, the difference between, I want you to still have some, so the point of the title and the thumbnail, and as you can see here, it makes a massive difference in the performance of the video, massive difference. Is how many people will click on it. It needs to be clickable if the video is going to perform well. But I don't want people to have no idea what the video is about, right? So despite the fact that this title by itself, if it was just the word finally, in other words, if all you had to go off of was the title of this video being the word finally, then that's pretty useless. I would feel bad about that. Now, the fact that this video is one of my regular series of GPU news videos, and you can tell that from the thumbnail, if you're one of my regular viewers, you understand what you're getting at. It's a GPU news video. It's going to be a 30-minute-ish, or in this case, a 22-minute-ish roundup of the latest GPU news, right? Okay. So you understand what you're getting when you see that, despite it being very, dramatic, right? So it's okay, in my opinion, to have a dramatic title if the viewer understands what they'll be getting when they click on it, right? Now, this kind of title is not at all dramatic. It's just, here is what this video is about, right? Okay. And as you can see, performs a lot worse. Although, again, I think just in general, a lot of people are not super interested in these products right now, and I don't blame them. But again, something kind of out of your control. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is I keep trying to picture myself doing YouTube full time. And I imagine things like this, videos performing like this, really making me feel sick to my stomach. I'm not saying they do right now. Right now, I'm just like, whatever. It'll get some views and search traffic, and even if it doesn't, I had fun making it. And still, $30 extra, cool, cash in my pocket. Didn't think my channel would ever make money anyway, right? Whereas, if I'm doing this full time, I would feel like, okay, if I keep posting videos that do this poorly, my family will not eat, right? We won't have health insurance. We won't have a house, all of that. So as you might be kind of getting the idea, I have decided not to go full-time YouTube at this time. I reserve the right to change my opinion in the future, right? It's possible that if there was just multiple years of the channel just continuing to perform well and make it so and if it started making enough money that it's honestly just kind of silly to continue teaching, then I might give it another more serious thought. But because what it's really coming down to, again, is thinking about what would life be as a full-time YouTuber versus a full-time teacher with no YouTube versus doing both. Right now I'm doing both, and I am enjoying it. However, as you can see, why are views a bit lower than usual? I've posted less videos. What I've decided to do behind the scenes, which I'm just kind of finally talking about in this video, is I've decided to not make it an either-or thing. I'm going to try to continue to do both YouTube and teaching. Because, for one thing, I really enjoy teaching. I'm one of those crazy people out there who actually likes my job, okay? I could have done a lot of things with my math degree. I don't talk about this a lot, but I did very well in college math. I had a 4.0 in a pure math degree. I got a cash prize at my university at graduation for being one of the most promising math graduates who for some reason decided to go into education. Anyway, so I had a lot of opportunities I could have pursued that would have paid better than teaching when I decided to go into teaching. But I actually had a passion for going into teaching. And I'm also one of those people whose passion for it did not die when it actually encountered the realities of teaching. Because I don't know how long this video is going to be or how much rambling this is. There's no script to this like any of my videos, right? This is going to be kind of rambling, but some thoughts on teaching, okay? Teaching, I think people get burnt out on teaching if, especially when, there's lots of reasons, but because maybe let's go into burnout, right? YouTube burnout, there's also teaching burnout. These are both jobs with a lot of burnout, right? And I'm the crazy guy trying to do both at the same time, and I have a family. Anyway, with teaching, I think a lot of people burn out because they might be passionate about the subject, but they're not passionate about teaching the students, the reality of that. Because while it's good to actually like the subject that you teach and be good at the subject you teach, I think that's actually a secondary concern. What you should want to do if you want to teach, at least if you're teaching high school, that's what I have experience with, is you should actually want to help high school students navigate a difficult time in their life at a point when their emotional maturity is not in a place where they are likely to demonstrate thanks on a regular basis or compassion or anything for, the teacher trying to help them out through that, right? But in general, I want to help people. I want to teach people. I enjoy doing that. I understand where students are coming from when their life sucks, and so they take that out on school. And I think it's nice to try to provide a good experience for them in the midst of all of that. And I'm actually very passionate about that. And so the thought of going full-time on YouTube is giving all of that up, right? But I still also very much enjoy YouTube. And like I said, there's a lot of burnout on YouTube with all of this crap I'm talking about, right? How you're just constantly being, speak about constantly being judged. Yeah, teenagers are judgmental, but how about the YouTube algorithm, man? Anyway, but again, I think one thing that I'm finding this weird thing where by doing both, they're actually both kind of giving me a chance to switch gears, because teaching is a job where you could constantly find more work to do. But by also running the YouTube channel, it gives me it lets me give myself permission to stop working on and thinking about school stuff when I leave the school building. And vice versa. I think if I was doing YouTube full time, I would just be constantly obsessing over these analytics. And I would be spending 10 times as long on all of my videos and the editing and the titles and the thumbnails and all of that for probably like not making them 10 times better, if that makes sense, right? But I'd be constantly obsessing over that and be like emotionally crushed when it doesn't go well, things like that. But doing both, it kind of lets me, like I said, shift my gears, gives me permission to focus on something else for a while. And with the YouTube stuff, again, I can focus on that for a while. And if one of my videos doesn't perform well, fine, I'm gonna go teach. That's my real job, okay? Even if it didn't make me as much money last year. So that's, it's kind of nice. They both kind of put each other in check on how much of my total time and life and focus and anxiety they can each, maintain, right? Because I can't be focused on both at the same time, which allows me to shift gears. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And also, I shut down all of it for a huge chunk of the day when my kids get home from school, and I can give them attention until they go to bed, right? So it allows me to kind of break my life up into different chunks, shift gears. I'm passionate about doing both things, but again, I think YouTube, right now for me, this is fun. And I don't know if I want my hobby to become my career, because I don't think it would be fun anymore. I just know my personality. I think I would obsess over it too much. I would obsess over the analytics too much. I would just like I said, not have fun with it anymore. So currently, I enjoy everything that I'm doing, other than the fact that I really don't sleep enough. How do I manage to do the YouTube stuff? I get up before everybody else in my family, and oftentimes I stay up later than everyone else in my family. I also get home from work before they do, and then I work on that a bit there. And then there's times on the weekends when the kids' grandparents come over to visit and things like that, where I can kind of sneak off and work on the YouTube stuff. And there are certain days where like new graphics cards are coming out, where I do just have to block off a chunk of time from family, or maybe even take a personal day off of work, something like that, and just get a whole bunch of benchmarking done. But anyway, right now I am making both things work at the same time, and I want to continue to do that. So I think that's we're hitting on almost 30 minutes now on the video, so I think that's where I'm probably going to leave it. I don't think I had any other slides I wanted to talk about, really. I think we mentioned most of the things I wanted to mention. Yeah, so in general, it's what I've decided to do is, when I started the channel, like I said, I was posting videos literally every single day. And if I missed a day, I would post 2 the next day. Yeah, 2 the next day. And I've, in general, tapered back a bit from that, but I was still trying to get out like 4 or 5 videos a week for most of the time I've been running this channel. At this point, I'm gonna try to give myself more permission to go multiple days without posting a video. If there's not that much to talk about for 2 or 3 days, or if there's too much other stuff I wanna get done, or I just frankly need to actually sleep a little bit, I'm gonna give myself more permission to do that. So it's possible that the total number of videos posted on the channel could decrease for a while. Maybe it'll go back up. I mean, the summers, right? One thing about teaching is, over the summer, I will have, I don't do both, right? So I would probably be able to get more content out if that's what I choose to do with the extra time. But that's the thing. So basically what I've decided is continue doing both, give myself more permission to take a couple days in between uploads, which is what's happening here. And I think that little paring back has made me feel more okay with doing both. And if the channel ends up not making as much money this year because I chose to do that, that's fine. Because like I said, when it's not my full-time thing, I'm fine on my teaching income, right? I'm totally fine on that. All this YouTube stuff, I'm paying off my house quickly, right? Paying off my car loan, things like that. Putting more into retirement savings every month. And I do get all the coolest new graphics cards too. So there's all of that. So that's where I'm at currently. So anyway, huge thank you to viewers, commenters, subscribers, channel members. All of you are what make all of this possible anyway, and you're why I do it in the first place. I enjoy talking about all of this stuff and feeling like people value, listening to that, having the conversation. I still read a huge chunk of the comment section, see what you guys think about everything. Because like I said, the whole reason I started this thing was to have an outlet to talk to people who care about the same stuff I do on this niche. So anyway, I hope all of you found this useful and or interesting. I don't know how useful you guys would find this one compared to my normal video. I mean, maybe if you're considering life choices, maybe there were some lessons here about finding some sort of balance, considering not just, don't just chase dollar signs, they're important, but so is like, feeling happy with where you're at in your work-life balance. Maybe if you're interested in pursuing YouTube, like a lot of my students are interested in that. Maybe some of this analytics stuff was interesting, but again, I'm just like, I'm not sure it's a healthy thing for everybody from a mental health perspective. I'm just saying, this stuff is brutal. So maybe you found it useful, maybe you at least found it interesting, and I hope all of you have an excellent day.